What's up guys, my name is Coach Bachmann and today is going to be all about the 90-degree handstand push-up. In order to succeed with your 90-degree handstand push-up, you have to get good at overhead pushing strength, bend on planche strength, planche push-up and planche raise strength, protraction strength, and of course at the ability of balancing upside down and to combine multiple complex movements into one skill. It is this unique combination of timing, balance and strength that makes this movement such a poor choice for building raw strength. Now of course, you can do 5, 6 or 10 in a row and you're gonna get a nice little pump, but you have to be fairly advanced to be able to do this. The problem is that as soon as you get tired, form and with this balance is gonna get worse. And you're gonna fail the movement before your muscles actually fail and get fatigued. So if bodyweight bodybuilding is really the only thing that you're interested in, head back to the wall, train your chest to wall handstand push-ups and stick to weighted dips, as the 90-degree handstand push-up is going to be fairly too technical for you. The 90-degree push-up takes you through a bend-on planche position. All planches require advanced amounts of shoulder lean, meaning you will place significant amounts of pressure on your wrists. Now, I don't recommend to anyone to train advanced calisthenics skills on the floor. Yes, of course, externally rotating your hands is going to help a bit and it's going to ease the pressure a little bit. Yet, risk of injuries is still going to stay high. Additionally, by externally rotating your hands, you're going to add an additional challenge to the balance. So instead, forget about being cool. Grab your parallettes, train on parallettes. Ease the pressure on your wrists so you can keep training volume high whilst keeping your risk of injuries low. Additionally, parallettes are going to allow you to use momentum to first get up and eventually to go even lower for an additional challenge. Before starting to train, I want you to be sure that you meet these 3 prerequisites. You should be able to hold the bend on planche, you should be able to perform deep handstand push-ups, and you should be able to actually control your handstand and make it up 4 out of 5 times to avoid losing time and energy on mount. If you're lacking one or possibly even multiple of these points, don't worry about it. You can absolutely start training 40 90-degree handstand push-up right away. You're gonna pick up what's missing right now as you go along. The only thing that you want to make sure of that your handstand push-ups are already somewhat decent. The 90-degree handstand push-up consists of 3 phases. First, you lower into a handstand push-up. From here, hover the face towards the front to arrive in a bend-on planche. The way back is the same, but in reverse. First, your feet have to come up and your upper body has to travel back until your hips are on top of your hands. From here, we push like we would in a regular handstand push-up. Keep the angle in your body until your elbows are fully locked. And only at the very end, align the shoulders and the feet back on top of the hands. It's really in this transition back to the handstand push-up where most of the mistakes happen. You see, you want to be able to transition without letting your back arch. In other words, you have to keep your ribs in. For this, you have to bend your arms enough to allow your feet to come up, yet you have to resist enough in order not to get stuck. If you push up too early, one of 2 things is going to happen. Number 1 is that you push up too early, you don't have enough weight in your hands, and you're going to push instead of upwards, back towards your feet. Number 2 is that you'll end up in a planche and not in a regular handstand, making this already pretty difficult movement close to impossible. But if you allow your feet to travel too far and push too late, you're going to arch and you're going to fall anyways. The goal is basically going to be to understand this movement so well that you can create and use a bit of momentum to transition from the bend-on planche to the bend-on stand. In an extreme example, picture bringing the upper body up slightly in the bend-on planche and the feet down to gain momentum to get out of the bend-on planche and into the deep handstand push-up position. Keep in mind that all of this is only possible if you have enough strength, control and protraction in the bend-on planche. The best exercise to practice this precise transition to get used to the specific timing is the dolphin handstand push-up. Begin in a cobra-like position, engage your back to hold the arch and swing onto your hands into a handstand push-up bottom hold position. I do not recommend going back to the cobra. Making this smooth will require lots of training, which will take time and attention away from your actual goal and won't add anything to your progress. The main point to train here is the transition from arch momentum to not arching and controlling the bottom position. If you're able to do this hold and then push up, you've already learned the hardest part of the 90-degree push-up. To get this started, you can practice arch rocks only and eventually going into the handstand push-up. Of course, it's also recommendable to start with your hips quite high elevated and over time work your way down towards the floor. Try to truly indulge into the momentum here. I cannot stress enough how learning the 90-degree handstand push-up is so much about understanding the timing of the movement. You can do a similar drill like this one, but without the cobra. From a bend-on planche, transition into the headstand. You have to be quite close to the floor, making this one a great option to practice the transition without bending the elbows too much. Yet, being close to the floor means you won't be able to use momentum, making this progression a rather advanced one. For this particular one, I recommend starting in a straddle and working your way towards closing the legs. If both of these are feeling a little bit too advanced for now, the standing 90-degree push-up is a great way to get you started. Similar to a dive bomber push-up, but without the cobra. You can measure the distance between your hands and your feet if you want to get precise. Focus on holding protraction and imagine you have a bar over your head and you're trying to pass under on your way in and out of the position. Then of course, you can take your feet off in front for an additional challenge. An obvious progression is of course the 90-degree push-up eccentric. Learning to control the way down is a great first step towards making it back up eventually. Work on slowing the movement as much as possible. First, lower all the way down to the floor, finishing in a push-up position. Then, start holding the straddle bend on planche and eventually even do it with legs together. The goal here, naturally, is to stay fully in control at all times, but especially also to follow the correct movement path of the 90-degree push-up. Besides progressions, you have to continue to focus heavily on your raw strength. Continue to train your chest-to-wall handstand push-ups, your planche push-ups, and of course your bend on planche. Additionally, at the end of your training, you want to focus on isolation work and actually focus on your personal weak spots. For some of us, that might be the triceps. For others, that might be the chest. For me personally, that would be protraction strength. They're called individual weak spots for a reason. If your weak spot is not being able to hold the handstand, make sure you take your technical handstand training and do it at the beginning of your workout. Now all this training is fun and games, but eventually it's gonna be time to get your very first 90-degree push-up. The best exercise to practice the skill as a whole is the banded 90-degree push-up. Place your legs in a straddle so the band can't slide off. Your first ones without the band are not gonna be pretty, and that's okay. Right now, it's just about breaking the ice. Start with momentum from the bottom. Bend your knees and even arch your back. Work on the rhythm and momentum. From here, train the straddles, where you use the bend on planche like a jigsaw to gather momentum. And over time, work on cleaning it up until you can go strict with your legs together. You can add ankle weights or even a weighted vest for an additional challenge. If you want to learn the 90-degree push-up for real and leave nothing up to chance, then head down below and click on the link in the description. You're going to find your way to my online program, 90-degree push-up madness. Over the course of 3 stages, you're going to start by building raw strength, then you're going to invest into momentum, timing, and technique before finally nailing your very first 90-degree handstand push-up. Every single workout is going to begin with a comprehensive warm-up and injury prevention work, and there's going to be a technical handstand block customized towards your current handstand level to help you advance with your handstand control and your handstand balance. Additionally, you're going to have access to weekly leg and pulling workouts to turn these 90-degree push-up workouts into a full-body workout routine. To round everything up, the program is going to come with access to a comprehensive knowledge base where you can read, study, and learn about limiting points, training methodology, additional progressions, and really anything you could possibly need in order to succeed with the 90-degree push-up. Thank you so much for training with me, and I'll see you next time. Coach Bachmann.